your turn to...
Oh, is it for me?
Consider yourself fired.
Why are you winking at me?
Consider yourself fired.
Hello, and welcome to the JT and Drew Show. I'm JT.
And I'm Drew.
And we're two nobodies talking about nothing.
Consider yourself fired.
Well, hey, man.
Hey.
Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I have a story
Ooh, I like stories.
that the producers wanted me to tell. So, this goes to the individual, he knows who he is, who said that the one episode that he really liked was actually about radios.
Oh, okay. Sure. Let's go for it.
Yeah, so there's going to dabble in that for a little bit. And then I'd like to discuss, best communications options for type of situation that you're in. This will hopefully it'll transition real well. So, but anyways, I'll just go ahead and start off with the story. We went to lunch, you and I. Maybe 3 blocks away from where we work.
Mm-hmm.
And got there just fine, and pulled in and went inside and we ate. We came back out, and all of a sudden my truck was dead.
Yeah, deader than dead. You weren't even getting like the click, 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 click.
No, I wasn't even getting that. It did indicate that my doors were open, but that was it. And then if you went to go lock the doors, it was real
delayed,
slow too. So kind of like most of the recordings we have.
Yeah,
it's a delay.
I was hoping you'd go there because I thought it was just me.
But so we grabbed a really nice guy who helped us out, and he gave me a jump. And once I got that jump, I just left the truck on, just in case,
Yeah.
And so I had you follow me to I went to O'Reilly's, I believe it was.
O'Reilly's Auto Parts.
Ew. Like that. So I went there and shut the truck off, tried to turn it back on, and I was deader again. So,
golly.
But and that was not really scary. It wasn't really nerve-wracking or anything. And I believe the reason it wasn't is because you and me love radios, right? So you and I both are.
We do. We're a couple of radio nerds.
Yeah, so you and I have our own radios. We currently have GMRS mobile radios that are in our vehicles. And they are rated at 50 watts. I don't think we get that much, but they're rated at 50 watts. And so, but we are,
if I can interrupt real quick, but the way that our mobile radios are hooked up, they're wired to the battery.
Mine is, yours is not.
Yes, yours is wired to the battery. So that was kind of a, should you turn it on? Should you not? Like, is that going to suck up more juice that you don't have and put you dead in your tracks? Or
yeah.
And I think you said your phone, too, was low on power.
Yeah, my battery indicator was showing red. So I was, within 15% of it dying.
Yeah.
And that is the perfect scenario for what you and I had done. So, to follow up, you and I are licensed GMRS operators, right? And most recently, we are ham operators. We got our ham amateur license.
No sad hams here, my friend.
Not at all. So, in keeping with a line of communication with at least somebody, I wasn't nervous or afraid or anything like that. But the O'Reilly's that we went to was pretty far away, and I was really thankful that you had followed me in your vehicle. So, but the way we had communicated was through ham radio, because I was not comfortable turning on that powerful radio that's hooked up to my battery and keeping in communication with you. Now, thinking about it, we had our little handies, our little mobile handy GMRS. We could have done it that way, but we stuck with ham, and we did that. And if anything were to have happened to myself or anything, I knew that I could hop onto a repeater, because there's always somebody listening, and I could have called out and got roadside service or help or something.
Sure, yeah.
So, it was very important at that particular moment, and I was very thankful that we had the communications that we had, because if something were to happen in between where we had started to the end point and where we were going, I had a means of reaching out to somebody without using my cell phone, because it was going to die. And which it did before I got home, because even when I replaced the battery, I did not plug my phone in. Yeah, I had a car charger, but I wasn't going to take the chance, even though I got a brand new battery.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to take the chance of plugging it in. I was going to wait till I got home, but my phone went ahead and died.
Yeah, that can be a little nerve-wracking, I'm sure. Luckily, I think in your case, your drive home was a little bit longer than, say, from that store to my house. So I think for me, if I were in your shoes, that would give me a little bit of peace of mind, in the sense that, okay, this battery I know is brand new, but I'm charging it as I'm driving it. Like, it's not going to be, man, I hope I get home, turn it off, and oops.
Yeah, which was my first plan was, hey, I'll just go home, and if it dies on me when I get home, I at least have another vehicle I can hook it up and get another charge from. But luckily, I made the right choice. Went straight to O'Reilly's, and they found out that I had a bad battery, not a dead battery. It was bad.
But that was the original battery, right, from when you had purchased the truck?
Yes, and it's a 2018, but I bought it in 2017, so
5 years-ish.
Roughly. So that's pretty good for a car battery.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was about time. I'm just glad that it happened when and where it did, because you were getting ready for a trip.
Yeah.
And we were there at work, so thankfully, there were other people around that could help out and whatnot. And I'm just glad it didn't happen on your trip, or, hey, I'm on the interstate, now I got to pull over, and what do you do,
Right, yeah, because we like to stop at the rest stops. That's roughly about halfway in between here in the Metroplex, and kind of just, get out, stretch your legs, go to the restroom if you need to, all the usual stuff that you do at a rest stop. And luckily, it didn't happen there.
Right.
Or it didn't happen the morning of.
Yeah.
Because we had to be in Dallas by a certain time. So luckily we were.
Hey man, I don't wear a cape. I just drive a taco food truck. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you are a superhero. I'd like to say thank you officially on the podcast. So
anytime. I know if that had happened to me, you'd have watched me push my truck. So anytime.
Well, I probably would have just been in the truck steering for you.
Yeah, there you go. Privilege card played.
With my back and everything,
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting to be able to be in a real world situation where that was going to happen and still have communication means.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had been talking about it on a few episodes, and kind of, hey, this is what we want to do with this, licensing and the kind of not effects, but the things that we can do with it. And I mean, this was a real life scenario, not just a, oh, hey, me and my friend are playing walkie talkie, you know. Oh, holy cow, we actually need to use this. And we were able to.
Yeah. Yeah, we were able to. And it was a sense of relief that even though I had a dead battery in my vehicle, I could still communicate out to anybody who could help.
Mm-hmm.
And in that community, that particular community, there are thankfully a lot of people who will help.
Right.
Whether it's call somebody for you, call an emergency service, call something, or you and me keeping in communication. Now, one of the issues we did find out, but this was later on, was that you and I were trying to talk to each other within a certain span, but there is a lot of interference in this particular area.
Yeah.
You and I have always had issues when it came to CBs,
Mm-hmm.
when we were talking to CBs in this one particular area. GMRS, we haven't had much of an issue, but it's still a little crackly. But apparently in Ham we had an issue, because when I got there and called out, was trying to tell you that, hey, I'm dead. You know, I'm in the parking lot, but I'm dead. I'm safe. You didn't hear me.
Well, and I wonder if that has to do with them being handies and me being in the truck. Now, I know we've really pushed him and not had issues with bigger distances. And like you said, it's that particular area. But I wonder if we had mobile units and the mobile antennas on the exterior, if maybe that would have pushed through that, or if it'd be the same thing. We'll have to test that later.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to test that particular issue later.
Oh, I just got a text from Boss.
Oh,
apparently he's listening to the live feed.
Okay.
Apparently he knew what the problem was all along.
What was it?
He said, sounds like it ain't got no gas in it. Ain't got no gas in it.
Yeah, that probably. It probably didn't have enough gas to push the juice out past. So, but when I reached out to you on the handy, and you can let Boss know this, I was outside of my vehicle. Now I was right in front of the building.
Yeah.
Which could have.
Well, and I think at that point, too, I was probably less than a mile away. So, I mean, in theory, it shouldn't have been an issue. But I think, like you said, that particular spot in town, we just are picking up interference from something, because it seems to be a main spot where we get that activity. It doesn't seem really, when we're in and about the city, there's really any issues.
Yeah.
So.
But, again, I wasn't worried, because I could have hopped on a repeater. It could have pushed out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew would have gotten out to you.
Yeah.
So we've fine-tuned our communications issue situation when it came to something like that, and now we know what to do in a scenario if it were to happen again.
Yep.
So hopefully, knock on wood, it doesn't, but if it does, we have the means to reach out. So, and that being said, how much is too much?
It depends. Are we talking about bean burritos, or what are we...
We're going to keep on the radio topic.
Okay, radios.
We'll get to bean burritos later. But how much, how many comms is too much? I mean, you can have
if you ask my wife,
walkie-talkies, handy-talkies.
She'll give you a different answer than I would give you. I think my limit is there really is none. But her limit is, you ordered another radio? So I guess it really depends on who you talk to.
Yeah. I mean, if you're into it, if you're not into it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what would you use it for? I mean, for CB, it kind of seems, because even on my road trip down, there's not many people on there anymore. Is that a dying means of way of communication for truckers, or for just amateur radio guys? Not amateur hams, but
I don't know. I agree with you definitely, because I've experienced the same. You know, I'll turn the radio on, I'll get on the highway channel, I'll call out. Every now and then I might get somebody, but I've called out, you know, in traffic jams. just to see if anybody is nearby that can relay information. And it's radio silence.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I'll pick up Skip and hear people having long conversations, in other parts of the country.
Yeah.
It just, I guess it really depends. There's that, a few different folks that run a couple channels or shows or what have you, and you'll hear them on there regularly, and they're nonstop. Like, they just will not breathe even. They just keep going and going, and you can't even key in.
Yeah.
So I know it's still being used, but as far as like for the intended purposes, right, for using it for the road and that kind of thing, I tend to agree with you. I don't know that it's that popular anymore.
Yeah. I don't even have like a scenario on where you could use a CB, because you are using, if you're on the AM channel, right?
Right.
You're using 4 watts. So 4 watts is going to be best used out in the flat surfaces. You can touch out a little bit. And they say that your radio is going to be a line of sight. That's how far you're going to get, line of sight.
Right.
You and I haven't really debunked, but you and I have tested other means of communication and have realized that even with just 5 watts, we're getting way more on other frequencies. So is it just the AM frequency? Is it the AM band? And people are just kind of done with it?
Yeah, I think, ham, right? There's ham clubs in different cities and that kind of thing. And those folks probably pretty regularly get on there and communicate with each other. And we experienced a little bit of that with CB in our initial phases, if you will. But I think the community, at least out here, was just really small. There's just a handful of folks. And they may get on there regularly and talk to each other. But outside of that, in interacting with those folks, I haven't really had too many other interactions. I'll call out every now and then if I'm on my way out of town, and I may get somebody. And, the radio is sounding clear, it sounds good, what have you, but I don't really hear too much more than that. I hear more on the GMRS side, whether it's from schools or restaurants or construction sites, picking up chatter from people on those channels. But I think a lot of that is because, they go to the local store, Walmart or Target or whatever, buy a little pack of walkie-talkies, and they're on those FRS and GMRS channels.
Yeah. And they're using those more for right around where they need, where, you can pick up one of those radios at Walmart. You're going to get either a half a watt or up to 2 watts. And that's perfect for a block.
Yeah, if I'm just, like I said, a school or a daycare or something, if I'm just running a facility and I want to communicate with the other employees, that's what you need. You don't really need anything more than that.
So, in saying when I'm going to kind of drift off from the CB, but GMRS, ultimately, what is that for? Is that for the common person? Is that for schools or construction sites and whatnot? Is that really a radio band that kind of people who are into radio frequencies and wanting to communicate just outside of the line of sight, is that something that's even relevant to what they want to do?
I think
is that a good kind of what I'm saying is that good for the average Joe?
Yeah, I would say so. I think the GMRS is a great option for the everyday person. Hey, we're going to go on a road trip and I want to talk to my friends in the car ahead of me. Or we're going to go camping and we want to spread out in the woods or whatever. Or we're going to go play airsoft and we want to be tactical. Or we want to, like I said, work in a school or what have you, and I need to talk to the other teachers. Or I work at a restaurant and we put people outside and I need to keep in communication with them. That's a great everyday user option.
and it's cheap, relatively.
Right.
I mean, you can go to Walmart and pick you up a set of radios that require just AA batteries
Mm-hmm.
or AAA, because I've got some AAA ones here, and you can get up to depending on where you're at. If you're in a city, you're going to get less, obviously, but you can get up to a mile, and a mile of communication is
But the package
means of
says I
life or
can go
death.
up to like 30 miles.
36 miles or 22 miles, and you've got to really read it, and that's again flat plains. Kind of like what I like to think of when I see stuff like that is if you're in the flat salt of either Nevada or Utah, and say that flat salt lake is 36 miles away, from one point to another. Yeah, in that particular scenario, you're going to get the range of 36
You
miles.
don't have
but
all
it's
these
literally
obstacles of buildings and
trees.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't have hills or anything like that. So, should, in your opinion, GMRS be able, or in your opinion, should GMRS be accessible to everybody? And would you require people to still have a license from the FCC in order to use it?
That's a great question. I think it should be accessible to everybody. The licensing part, I don't know. I get it. Like, I can see it from the FCC standpoint. They're trying to regulate and keep it not clean necessarily, but they're trying to kind of like an HOA in a neighborhood. They want the neighborhood to be nice.
Right.
But at the same time, and people can really nerd out on GMRS as well. But at the same time, I don't know that you really have to have an FCC license. I mean, I know right now the rules, regulations, what have you, say you do for GMRS. But as far as me agreeing or not agreeing with it, I'm kind of riding the fence on that. I don't see the necessity in the sense that, on GMRS, you're not going to be interrupting police channels or air traffic or anything that's like, hey, I do need to be licensed to be operating on these bands and have permission and that kind of thing. If you and Billy are just going to go play airsoft or paintball in the woods, who cares?
Yeah. Well, that and GMRS is really nice that they've put those particular frequencies into a channel mode.
Right.
Instead of you having to memorize what frequency do I have to type in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, you can get those Chinese radios that are super popular and are apparently radios of war.
Radios of War, affiliate link below.
Not
below.
Not below.
That's a shout out to Not a Sad Ham. He knows who he is.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully he listens, but he's got bigger things to do.
Yes, he does.
But, yeah, like go on trails. But you can, quote unquote, encode, which is not really coding your frequency, but you can encode a certain channel to where you and your friend can only talk. Now, the downside of that is if anybody is tuned in to just the basics. So say you want to do channel 15,
Sure.
right? So you and your friend, you choose channel 15, and okay, I'm going to go to, we're going to use analog code, which is CTCSS, and we're going to encode this to 141.8 or .6 or whatever it is, right? And so we're going to encode this so that way when we talk, it's just going to be us two. However, if you have a guy who is listening to channel 15 and without any codes, they can hear your entire conversation.
Yeah.
Until it is coded. Until they code theirs. And then they'll knock you out.
They won't be able to transmit to you, but they can hear everything.
They'll hear everything.
But I think that's more than the average user would be worried about. They're just, hey, what channel do you want to go on? 15? All right, I'm on 15 on mine. We're good to go.
Yeah. That's, especially if, you're just doing it recreational.
Sure.
So, great topic. Reliable radios. What are your top radios that you like so far in your? Oh gosh, how long have we been doing this? A year and a half?
Yeah, I think we're coming up on 2 years.
Oh wow, 2
Because
years.
we started out
Time
with
flies.
those COVID-19s.
We did. Yep, we sure did.
Yeah, I mean, reliable. Obviously, I haven't been doing this for decades and have, rooms full of radios or anything that my wife knows of. Just kidding, babe, if you're listening, which you're probably not. But if you are, but I mean, you could do research for days and days and months and years. You and I have both done that. And you don't really know. I mean, you can read reviews too, and some people love certain brands, some people hate certain brands. You don't know until you get it and you try it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've had success with the little $30 CB radio from Walmart. It worked out great, met the intent that we needed it to. The mobile GMRS, some loved it, some hated it. Worked out perfect for us. Kind of exceeded our expectations. The little $25 to $35 handy talkies that we got, again, great. They met our expectations. They've held up well. I mean, neither of us abused the radios or beat them up and drop them and just, torture test them or anything. But outside of that, they've held up awesomely.
They sure have.
And then the little ham radio that we got, the mobiles or the handies, are also, again, exceeded expectations, and that was kind of, I know we were on the fence on, well, there were, 2 or 3 models that we were looking at. What did we get? I don't know. Bit the bullet and got them, and I love it. I think it's a great radio.
Well, for us, just tipping our toes into it, these little Chinese radios that we have exceeded our expectations of what a handheld radio has the potential of doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, maybe I can say this, I'm saying this for me, but maybe I'm speaking for you as well. We are just in awe of the capabilities of what these particular radios what they can perform.
Yeah. Well, and I think the more that you nerd out on it, if that's your thing, if it's not, you're probably not listening anymore. But the more that you nerd out on it, the more you can appreciate it, because you can realize, you are realizing, you're understanding, hey, this little thing is, like you said earlier, it's 4 watts. Some of them may be pushing 5 watts. And the capability that it has in the city, or like where we live, kind of separated and through mountains and stuff, and we're hitting all these obstacles, and we're still able to communicate 20 something miles apart. And we're able to dial it in, to hit a repeater, to send a signal to this tower, to go to this house, or whatever the case. You're able to appreciate it more and like, wow, this is a lot of little power that I have in my hand, versus the person who, I'll buy this little thing on Amazon. It's $25. Who cares? Hey, I'm able to talk to somebody, or I'm not. Okay, I'll move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or it's just like, like you said, we're going on a road trip, and that's all it's used for.
Yeah.
So,
and
they'll probably stick it in their closet and never think about it ever again.
Yeah, just pull it out when they need it. And I think, as we were nerding out and prepping for the ham test and whatnot, learning about antennas was real interesting to me. And the different types of antennas, and if you point it in this direction and there's another one pointed in that direction, you could possibly increase your line of communication, or it could decrease because it's, off a certain angle and it needs to be horizontal instead of vertical, or whatever the case. Just having that knowledge and then being able to prepare yourself for it later and go, oh, shoot, maybe I'm not reaching the intended recipient. Let me tweak a couple things and, oh, boom, hey, now I'm good to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of, getting frustrated, or this thing doesn't work, I don't like it, this thing sucks, I'm giving it a bad review. Well, maybe you just don't completely understand it. Or maybe it does suck.
Yeah, maybe it does. Or it's not meeting your expectations on what you thought it had the capability of doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you and me, we aren't total tech savvies.
No.
We're not. Well, especially you.
Yeah, I still have a
But
face space in my book, so,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you probably still have an online My Journal.
I was hoping you wouldn't go there, but I never deactivated that account.
Today's journal entry, it will be,
Dear Journal, Drew feels really sad today.
yeah.
As I wipe the hair to one side of my brow.
And nobody understands me.
Nobody understands. They never will. I'm the only one in this boat. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, 13.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Radios, anything like that. Do you think that is a older person, an old person's hobby?
Absolutely.
And I don't have any kids in the house. I don't have to worry about nothing. I got like 18 grandkids, and everyone gets a Hershey's bar at Christmas because that's all I can afford after all the dang radios that I buy.
Right. Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, I'm sure there's several younger folks in it. You and I are in it. However, I think the trend, the stigma, the whatever, is that it is usually older folks, guys that maybe grew up using CBs and then, went to the next step and the next step. People that nerd out on all the ins and outs and antennas and diodes, and there's a nipple here and there's an LED there, and people that really understand the schematics and whatnot. But I know, like, when we went and tested, most of the males that were there were much older. There was another guy probably about our age, going for a license, but I think stereotypically it's probably like people in their, and these aren't old, but people in their 30s and up. I don't think there's too many, young 20s. Hey, yeah, I want to get into radio. Maybe there are, but I don't think stereotypically that there are.
Okay. So, for our audience who may particularly be in their 20s and 30s and whatnot, would you recommend this hobby? Because that's all it is. Would you recommend this hobby that they kind of tiptoe into it, maybe kind of look and see? Or is it just kind of, hey, whatever you're into?
This is my club. I don't want anyone else in it.
Get off my radio.
Don't you want to know what you sound like?
Oh.
No, I would definitely recommend it. Again, it could be used for all sorts of things, from camping, road trips. Maybe you're lazy and you just want to talk to the person in the next room and you don't feel like yelling anymore. It could be used for a number of things, but I think depending on how deep you want to go with it, you can learn a lot for sure. I mean, I am not very mechanically or electrically inclined. It just doesn't come naturally to me, but I feel like during the ham prep stuff, I did learn a lot. And now I'm able to recognize that stuff a little easier and understand it more and that kind of thing. So if you're up for a challenge and you're kind of have an interest in it, I would definitely say, yeah, go for it. I mean, it doesn't cost very much to get into, and it can cost as much as you want depending on how much you want to nerd out on it.
Right. So I'm going to give a shout out because you keep saying we prepped for the test.
Yes.
And I'm going to give a shout out to Ham Radio Prep because that's how we did it.
Mm-hmm. That's a website or an app?
So you can do the app, which the app just has the questions. It's just kind of like these are the questions, memorize the answers,
Yeah.
But the website has videos. it has games, and not every chapter does. And I thought, me personally, it's just my opinion, I thought the games were ridiculous and didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
But that's me personally. But I really liked that you could read the material in one screen and hear the material, or hear how the individual was going about, because it was literally word for word as the video and whatever was written on the screen. That helped me. As far as I would I'd listen to a chapter, I would read it along with him, and then I would go and I would answer the questions, and it would kind of help, if there was anything where I was like, I don't understand this, it was in the chapter.
Yeah, I think that helped me too. Just reading the chapters wasn't enough. The video, listening to the guy explain it, and then going back, rereading the chapter, and then seeing it on the test kind of helped me put the puzzle pieces together. Getting that repetition.
Yeah, and that's all it is repetition.
Yeah.
So
I would definitely recommend that. Ham Radio Prep.
Ham Radio Prep
below.
Is not below.
Not below.
But they are free for anything that you want to do. You do not have to get a subscription, as far as I know, but we went ahead and got one. So, because we're planning on upgrading within time and doing other stuff, so it just made sense.
We're going to nerd out a little more on it.
A little bit. But anyways, well, that's my story.
Yeah, man. I like your story. You're a good storyteller.
Well, not really. But
you have a face for storytelling. Has anybody ever told you that?
No. No, my mom used to tell me I have a face for radio and I need to do something with it. So.
Well, I'm proud of you because you're doing something with it.
Yeah, just I can't get any fights. I can't ruin this moneymaker here.
That's your moneymaker.
That's it, man. But I'm glad to have it on your show. True International Depression, because I can't talk tonight.
Yep.
But it was great. So thanks for popping in.
Yeah, I think we should do it again sometime.
Probably won't. Not with you. So, anyways, this is the JT Show with Drew as a guest.
Well, then, I will be opening up the taco food truck show. Guest speaker, Drew.
Okay.
Be sure to tune in. Probably not next week or ever.
Is it just going to be you just blowing it up in the microphone?
You know I don't do that.
No.
In private.
It's always public. Always walking
No
around.
shame in my game, baby.
Hey, you can't these days. Sometimes it just comes out.
Sometimes you just gotta find a Subway. If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know. So,
all right, brother.
that'll do it. We'll catch you later.
Peace.
As always, we'd like to say thank you for stopping by and listening to the podcast.
Yeah, we realized that you could have been doing anything way more productive, but you chose to waste your time with us.
We look forward to talking about absolutely nothing with you next time.
If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please email us at
jtandrewshow@gmail.com or visit our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/JTDrewShow.